Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the My Unique Curiosities podcast. I'm your unique host, Sean Hill, and today we are talking about the rise of BDSM. How did these whips and chains and anal beads and dog crates and rope all contribute to sexual assault cases rising, as well as sexual assault cases leading to death? But before we get started, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Let us help the channel grow. I'm going to wait until you do it. You did it? Appreciate you. All right, so for the ones that don't know, what is BDSM? What does the acronym stand for? The B stands for bondage. The D stands for discipline, domination. The S stands for sadism, submission. And the M stands for masochism. So the B, bondage. People that like to get tied up or restricted. The D, discipline, domination. That is a person who is setting rules for the other person. And if that person disobeys the rules, that person gets punished, depending on what the punishment they agreed to do. The S is sadism, submission. Sadism is a person who enjoys inflicting pain on somebody else. They get sexual gratification from inflicting pain on somebody. The M is for masochism. It is a person who enjoys getting pain inflicted on them. So all in a nutshell, BDSM is for the people who like to get restricted. They like to be tied up. They like to take orders. If they disobey the orders, they get punished. They like to get pain inflicted on them, and they also like inflicting pain on the other person. Shit is crazy. And then people wonder why I say sex has been perverted. So the next question is, what popularized this kind of behavior? If you ask me, I think it's that movie 50 Shades of Grey. If you're not familiar with the film, let me give you a quick rundown. The protagonist is a 21-year-old female. She's a virgin. Her name is Anastasia Steele. She's an English literature major. One of her best friends who works for the school's newspaper, he asked her, "Hey, Anastasia, can you do me a favor? Can you please fill in for me to interview this billionaire? Because I'm sick." Anastasia Steele, she says, "Okay, no problem." So then she meets with this self-made billionaire by the name of Christian Grey. As soon as she meets Christian Grey, she's already overwhelmed by his aura, his confidence, his assertiveness. She starts getting all weak, kind of like what I do when I enter a room, right, ladies? She's overwhelmed by his energy. So she starts dropping stuff, fumbling. So at the end, she thinks that it was bad. She thinks she fumbled the interview. Come to find out, though, Christian likes her. And Christian ends up turning into what we would call a stalker. He starts following her everywhere. Eventually, Anastasia caves and she starts going on dates with him, and she goes on helicopter rides. He's wooing her. But right before they get sexual, Christian Grey tells Anastasia, "You need to sign this NDA agreement and a BDSM contract." In this BDSM contract, Anastasia knows that there will be no relationship. Anastasia is not allowed to look Christian in the eyes. She's not allowed to touch him. And right after they do what they do, she is required to sleep in the guest room. She's not allowed to sleep with him in the room. Now, later on, Christian finds out that Anastasia is a virgin. Not wanting her first time to be a BDSM experience, he has casual, regular sex with her. Then after that, Anastasia, she takes the contract home. She goes over it. She reads it. She doesn't know anything about no BDSM, so she does her research on it. She goes back to Christian with a little bit of her stipulations that she wanted in there. They negotiate it. She signs the contract. Next thing you know, Christian Grey brings her down to his sex dungeon that he calls the Red Room, in which he has all these whips and chains and suspensions. So Christian, he takes Anastasia, he bends her ass over. He takes off his belt. And he starts whooping on her. He beat that ass like she stole something. Anastasia gets up. She looks Christian dead in his eyes and says, Christian, this is what you like to see me? You like to see me crying, hurt? Christian, I never want to see you again. She leaves. It's the end of the film. So by what I got from that, so Anastasia, to me, she did the right thing. If a man can maintain his erection while whooping on your ass, you leave. But that is the exact opposite of what happened after this film came out. Injuries related to BDSM sex toys skyrocketed after this damn movie. Emergency room visits increased by 50%, majority of them being women. All right, Sean, but how does this all tie into pornography now? But first off, if you ask me, I think the porn industry is funding a lot of these kind of movies and articles and stuff like that so that they can push their agenda. But anyways, like I said in the second episode of our pornography series, you learn from pornography how to do all of this. And in BDSM, the most common sex act there is strangulation. Strangulation. Look at this. Look at these damn magazines here. Breath play is a popular form of BDSM. Here's how to do it safely. This other Men's Health article. Why some people are turned on by choking during sex and how to do it safely, according to the experts. Most of y'all are not even aware of non-fatal strangulation, which causes cardiac arrest, strokes, speech disorders, miscarriages, brain injuries, and a whole bunch of other things. It takes several minutes to strangle somebody to death. It only takes several seconds to choke somebody out. I'm saying all of this because what people see in porn, they do in real life. And there are real legitimate cases of people that are strangling women to death and getting away with it because they're calling it a sex game gone wrong. This is the defense that they're using, and they're getting away with it by just saying that it's a sex game gone wrong. Take a look at this article here. This article is Metro News. A sex game gone wrong isn't a defense when men are getting away with murder. Scroll down here. 57 women in the UK have been killed by 57 men who used the sex game gone wrong excuse as part of their defense, while 38 were charged with murder. 19 of these men escaped the murder charge. 5 weren't charged with anything at all. Then you scroll down, you start looking at some of these stories. You look at some of them got choked to death. Some of them even got their throats slit. A whole bunch of crazy ass shit that is perverting sex again. Scroll all the way down here. And women. Choking is not a normal part of sex. It is not expected of you. And anyone who makes you feel otherwise needs to get in the bin. One woman dies every 2 weeks in the UK from being strangled by her partner. There are no cases of women having killed a man in a sex game gone wrong. And this is not just the UK. You have a few of these cases in America too. Look at this real quick. Woman accidentally shot dead by her lover in sex game gone wrong. This one is in Florida. This is the New York Post. 82-year-old charged with killing lover in violent sex game gone wrong. What you doing? Your shit ain't working. You gotta kill somebody because your shit ain't working, bro? Now, strangulizing appears to be normalized by these young girls now. Look at this one posting, "My man is working today, so I wanted to be romantic and have a surprise waiting for him. When he gets off, you think he'll like it?" On the bed, rose petals, "Bruise my esophagus." You have hashtags now coming out like choke me, choke her, neck fetishes, breath play, choke her out. Ignorance. Straight up ignorance. If they're not getting these ideas from pornography, y'all, where are they getting all this from? Is my question. So I want to share with y'all a story before we get up out of here. It was one of the biggest stories back in 2018. A lot of y'all are going to remember this story, but for the ones that don't, I have to warn you. It's a very heart-wrenching story. It's with a woman who traveled and went out to Auckland, New Zealand, where then she went on a Tinder date. That was the last time that she would be able to travel, and it is also the last time that she will ever be able to go on a date. So the story begins with a 21-year-old woman by the name of Grace Millane. She just graduated college in 2018, and she decided she's going to take the year off so she can travel around, see some of the world, meet some new people, learn new cultures, before she would find a job within her field. She was traveling alone, and she spent the first 6 weeks in South America. And then she went to New Zealand, where she planned to stay for 2 weeks. On November 30th, 2018, she arrived in Auckland, New Zealand, but she didn't know anybody. So she decided to go on Tinder so she can have company to go out for drinks. So she met up with her date on December 1st around 5:45 p.m., just hours before her 22nd birthday. The man she met, his name was Jesse Kempson, who was also visiting Auckland. As you see, if you're watching, there's CCTV footage that followed their whole date. They went to a burger spot, then they went to a bar, where they then started to kiss. They was flirting for over an hour. Then he told her, "It's your birthday tomorrow. We're getting smashed tonight." Then he goes and he buys more drinks for them. By 9:40 p.m., they went back to Jesse's hotel where he rents an apartment. As they exit the elevator just before 10 p.m., that is Grace's last moments alive on camera. So now that next morning, it's Grace's birthday. Her family members, her friends are texting her, trying to call her, but no answer. Something is up now, they're feeling. It's strange. Throughout the whole trip, she was always responsive. Why not now? After 2 days, Grace has now been declared missing. The police now went to work. They retraced all her steps and seen her last entering Jesse's apartment. After that, they never seen Grace leave that hotel, but they saw Jesse leave multiple times. That morning, Grace's birthday, Jesse went to the mall. He bought a large suitcase. He took it back to the apartment. He went back out to get cleaning supplies and a professional carpet cleaner. Went back to the apartment. He went back out again. He went to a car rental to pick up a red Corolla, drove back to the apartment. He left again. But this time, he went on a Tinder date. Another Tinder date. But he was acting strange. The girl picked up on his bad vibes, and she declined his offer to go somewhere else alone. Jesse goes back to the apartment. He grabs the large suitcase. He takes it down to the elevator in a cart. He placed it in the Corolla. He went back upstairs, and then he went back to bed. He got up the next morning. He drove. He bought a shovel and was also seen going to a garbage can and dumping some bags in there as well. After the Auckland police went through a long interrogation, Jesse finally admits, after numerous of times lying, saying he didn't, he tells the police, "I killed Grace Millane." He cried, saying it was an accident. Grace asked him to choke her, but it went terribly wrong. He told the police he disposed the body in the White Kerry Ranges in the mountains, and the police found the body in the suitcase. I want to ask y'all this. Does this look like a person who was nervous? All these times he went out, came back, went out, came back, elevator, suitcase. The man, for goodness sake, went on another Tinder date. So listen, y'all, they got a hold of his web searches at 1:30 a.m., which was presumably the time in which Grace was dead. The man searched for hottest fires, the White Kerry Ranges in which he dumped the body. And do you get this? Do you know what he searched for after that? Porn. Now, they also found photos in his phone, 7 photos exactly, of him maneuvering, moving Grace's lifeless body and taking pictures of it in a way where he wanted the right angle. The autopsy showed Grace had bruises on her arms, her torso, her neck. She was pinned down and choked to death. There were other women who testified that Jesse was into bondage, rough encounters, and he also was previously charged for rape and other sexual assault threats and violence. His defense attorney tried to use the sex game gone wrong, since Grace did not have any defensive wounds on her. But the counter argument to that was she's been drinking all evening with high levels of alcohol in her system. Remember when he told her, "We getting smashed tonight"? So the high level of alcohol in her system would prevent her from being able to defend herself. And it's very likely that Jesse knew just that. The jury in this case, fortunately, found him guilty, which he is now serving life in prison. So ladies, moral of the story here is if you're with a man who can maintain an erection while whooping your ass, leave. If he watches violent ass porn, you leave. Stop wanting to be choked, acting like this shit is okay. Strangulation is killing women. Do you want to end up like one of these women? And the thing that's crazy about masochism to me is that if somebody inflicts pain on themselves, we deem them to be crazy and we want to get them help. But if somebody else allows another person to inflict pain on them, it's fine. It's part of sex. Shit is crazy. So y'all, only if you found value in this video, I gave you a new perspective that you never got before. I ask you to please share the video. Let us bring as much awareness to the topic of pornography as possible, the harms of it. It's a very taboo subject that nobody likes to touch. People are afraid, but I'm not. Till next time, y'all. Make sure that the question, why, is being used on your part every single day. Peace.